Morning, everyone. This is our, part of the Get to Meet the Founders series. Today, with us, we have Sriram Rajamani, who is the MD for Microsoft Research in India, a very, very strong partner for Amplify. Many of you have, worked with Sriram's team, Tanuja, Abhishek, and several other researchers who are brought in from time to time. I thought this would be a great opportunity for Sriram to get to know the founders that his team has been working on, and for the founders to share what they've been doing so far, and for those of you all who've joined in to also get to understand what your other peers are doing, and some really, really exciting work. Simran, over to you.
Thanks, Latika. From the founder side, we have Casey Mishra, who is the founder and CEO of Ecotir, Neelkant Mishra, who is the founder and CEO of Jaljivika, and Ganesh Shankar, who is the founder and CEO of FluxGen Technologies. So I will have you all introduce yourselves after Sriram has given us a little brief about MSR and talk to us a little bit more about the Sky assets that are available for social impact. Over to you, Sriram.
Yeah, thank you, Simran. Thank you, Latika, for putting this together. And a warm welcome to Neelkant Mishra, Ganesh Shankar, and Keshi Mishra for joining us today. So this is very enjoyable for me as from my position at Microsoft Research, because as you may know, Microsoft Research is a research organization which is has the dual objective of advancing science and using those advances to create impact. And that is the objective of Microsoft Research as a research organization. So, we have researchers making foundational advances in algorithms, in machine learning, in computer systems, as well as human-computer interaction, which is actually how computers interact with people and solve real problems that people have. But as important as those advances are, it is fundamental in our DNA to really try out those advances in the real world and see whether get real feedback as to whether what our assumptions we make as to whether the problems we think technology will actually solve really actually solve them. That's actually in some sense very foundational to our honesty and integrity as scientists. It's extremely important to understand that. To that end, right, we have really two kinds of vehicles. One is Microsoft itself is a big company, so some of our ideas can find avenues to the real world through Microsoft products, which we do. If you think about products like Azure or Office 365 or Windows or Xbox, many innovations from Microsoft Research have found their way to the real world through these products and reached hundreds of millions of people worldwide. But there are also many innovations that we work on where Microsoft itself doesn't have a direct way to reach customers. And one particular area is innovations that help underprivileged, innovations that help solve, are intended to solve large scale societal problems, like sustainability, helping underserved in the bottom of the pyramid, helping technology benefit people with very low literacy skills, right? In that sense, actually, I'm really excited to that we were able to start this program called Sky. And before starting Sky, we have had actually some attempts at using technology to solve large-scale social problems. You may have known about an effort called 99 Dots that was started in our lab for tuberculosis medication adherence. We actually spun this off as a startup called Everwell, which is now in Bangalore, and they work with the Indian government on TB medication adherence. Another agricultural extension research project that we started called Digital Green, we spun it off from the lab. It is now a large-scale organization called Digital Green, which is touches many villages. A recent spin-off we did is actually called Karya. It is for dignified digital labor, enabling rural people to participate in the digital economy. But those were one-off things, and the reason why we started Sky was that can we offer technologies like dependable IoT, voice deck, that we were working with Ecoter, um, as together with goodness in the Microsoft platform, and can we combine that? We found a really good partner in Amplify in Accenture, and Accenture, right? Consulting is in their DNA, so they actually have a lot of expertise in taking platforms like Azure, right, and working with people who have real problems to build solutions. So through Microsoft Research, through Microsoft startups, actually with Latika represents, and actually Accenture, we thought we have all the pieces together to package actually these technological advances and engage with founders like you. So I'll stop there, and I really look forward to hearing what is working for you and what we could do better. So that will both, I mean, we can be honest and critical with each other, and such a conversation will greatly help us improve this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Sriram. MSR really has been a pillar of Project Amplify, and we couldn't have supported the startups the way we have without, MSR's full support. So really, thank you to you and the team for that. I will now hand over to Neelkant Mishra to, tell us about Jaljivika and the kind of problems that you're addressing and the solution that you've come up with and how you've been able to scale. Neelkant, you're on mute.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes.
And slide is visible, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, Project Amplify and MSR for providing us opportunity to share our experiences, our journey in this last 2 years, how we started working as a social enterprise and started using the technology as an enabler for large mass, for the scaling the idea. So Jaljivika, it's a social enterprise and we work in the sector of aquatic livelihood. So we believe every water body, every units of water body can be used for the livelihood opportunity for farmers. And considering the uh, amount of pressure on the food production in India, the next land is shrinking a lot. So water field is going to the next food production across world in coming 30, 50 years. So how to work in that direction is the futuristic vision of Jal Jivika. So we started as a direct service delivery to farmers, helping them in terms of the technology, helping them learning the new methodologies. So that was started in the year of 2013, and we covered in the different states like Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Jharkhand, Bihar. So that was our journey, and over the year of 7, 8 years and post this pandemic thing, we started believing bringing all our knowledge as an open source for the larger benefit of community is the future in this sector, and to expand the entire our knowledge to reach to work as a last mile delivery to farmer, technology could be the enabler. So that is how we started our engagement with the Project Amplify, Accenture, Microsoft for research, and we did some pilot innovations. So we'll discuss more on that line. So our goal is in next 10 years we want to reach 1 billion farmer and touch 1 billion hectare of water body. As a stat, I would like to quote like India has nearly 7 million hectare of water body, but hardly 3 million is used for the fishery and other kind of production. So still there is like 50% is unused. It's a massive, and with this 50% of the production system, we are second best in the world in terms of the fish production. Uh, More than 70% of fish in India is contributed from the fresh water. The data is not accounted at all. We only know the marine is contributing in India's export and foreign revenue, but it's hardly 30% of the fish production. So that's how we want to make our dent in this sector. And the problem is the advisory part. Means so much of farmer, millions of farmers are working as a small farmer, as a fish catcher across India. But getting that timely advisory is it's really an issue. People don't get. Even we have hardly 30 fishery colleges in India, so you can understand the kind of gap in the skilled human resources. Then the input, the market linkages, bringing all ecosystem actor together, even the bank. So like I will quote, recently government has started program like uh, credit card for also like Kisan credit card. Also, it was expanded for the fish farmer. Uh, but there is a requirement of their civil report. And most of those small farmers who work in the other pond, they don't have any civil reports, so they can't have access to this credit scheme from the government. So there are a lot of things where this data, where the technology can also enable the department, the government to reach the last beneficiary. So all those problems, if we start working in this direction, we can potentially make $1 billion industry using these water bodies. The we are heading where we are heading now. So left side you are seeing a graph with red dots. This is one of the drought-prone part of Maharashtra, Yavatmal district, and everyone might be knowing about the Yavatmal. A few years ago, it was infamous for maximum number of farmers suicide. So that's the history of Yavatmal. And only in one block, there are more than 700 water bodies with different kind of typology, different kind of their water availability. So we did mapping using the simple GIS mapping, and then using this the data, these all those parameters, we are making the cluster plan. So those cluster plan will be useful to bring the new entrepreneurship, bring the right kind of beneficiary to the government services. So that's direction we are working the map-based services for the planning process. Similarly, if you look at Bihar, Assam, parts of the West Bengal, UP, like it's all flood affected. Like millions of hectare is flood affected part, where the bringing any government scheme becomes very difficult. So using the same mapping technology, we are trying to develop how different zones it can be developed as a different zones for making the livelihood planning for farmers. So all those things are if you use started using the moment we started looking every unit as a data for the planning, the perspective changed within the organization. And this was the exercise we did last time with the project Amplify, where we developed the IoT sensor model based on that water testing parameter. We are now providing advisory services to the farmer. So it's a farmer specific unit, is personalized advisory, what kind of fishery they do, what could be their input investment. So we are doing that, where this entire, if I say Sriram, this entire solution, the POC happened in this collaboration with Accenture, Microsoft, and now this product after 1 year, now we are doing it POC with these 500 farmers. Uh, Similarly, like as I said, learning is one of the challenges. Advisory is one of the challenges. So to tackle that issue, we have started as a demo thing, like we won't call it kind of LMS services, but yeah, the value and features are the same. We are in the different linguistic language, local language. We are providing we are building this solution where farmers can start learning as per their challenges part. And so instead of doing now the physical training, this model is being used. So there is a huge shift within the organization, transformation within the organization, like a journey from aqua schooling kind of thing to aqua edu, where the data and technology is becoming a leverage point, and then the nudge point is given by the local physical interaction with the community cadres. So that is how we started integrating the tech part in our work, and it was really very wonderful journey. Very lot of knowledge we gathered. Started learning the power of data to empower community in this collaboration. Thank you, Simran.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nilkant, for that extremely inspiring presentation. Um, I have, maybe I can ask you one question. As you moved from, more sort of in-person interaction with farmers for educational purposes, for knowledge sharing, and you transformed via this, individualized app using technologies like IoT, and then you mentioned this educational platform, more like a learning management system to actually help farmers. Maybe I can ask you both extremes, right? Give me examples of where the technology investments that you put in really starts working and help large number of people, and maybe also tell us cases where there is still impedance mismatch between the technology and the really poor population you are trying to serve, and where the gaps are. I would love to hear about both those experiences.
So thankfully we have worked across, like using this LMS. We started using Zoom based first the knowledge transfer and then moved to this LMS thing, and using this IoT based sensor where sometimes there is a challenge in getting the data from field, getting the timeliness, all those things. We got all those learnings. The challenges we got is like how to integrate all those different kind of data points together, like and how to reduce the time lag of this POC. Like take the case of the IoT sensors. So it's not only the sensor. Then there is a server linkages. The data has to be in a particular data packet form. Then it should interact with your platform, and in a particular format, the advisory should come to the farmer. So this in this entire cycle, there are different kind of technology and assets are used. And as a social enterprise, we don't have exposure to all those different features. Like when we started, we thought like, yeah, IoT ban gaya na, it's all over. But later on, we came to know like, no, there is a backend people also. Then there is UI UX people. Then there is server end people. So there are at different end you need different experts. And if there is no such orientation, the time lag of the experiment becomes higher, and that was the painful moment. Second thing is, as I said, there is the data advisory also, there is LMS also. So these are all useful. Farmers are using it, they are really benefiting it. And I will tell you, most important part, the map part which I shown you, and this IoT machine, it is been used by the local women CRPs, the community resource person. They are not IT people. So after few days of handling, they started using the Kobo form sheet. They started using this, every day they are putting all those sensor into the liquid and trying to make it calibration. So it took time, but not more than a month. The
Right.
people learn very fast, and we have seen it like how people started using the WhatsApp, so many things. So people learn very fast. The moment we start trusting them, they learn very fast. But how to integrate all those different assets, infrastructure, like LMS is into some other format, market part is into some other format, IoT, how to integrate all into one system, that's the no major challenge. If we could do that part together, then I will say it's a complete platform where not only the farmer but even the government agency, they can extract whatever information they want. A trader can extract whatever information they want. But at this moment, everything is there. But in the plate, it is like different dishes. How to make it a kind of main course? So that's the challenge.
Thank you. Simran, should we take questions from the audience now? Or Nilkant?
Yeah, yeah, sure. I'm open.
Sure. If anyone has any questions, please, feel free to put them in chat. We will convey them to the speakers. Also, Casey, Ganesh, you're also welcome to ask questions if you have for Neelkant. Great. So
I can only say I'm extremely inspired, and I want to learn from some of the things that he's doing and what I'm doing. I have like total respect for the work he's doing.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
I mean,
Ganesh.
I was also thinking that, when Nilkant was talking about, women from these communities putting sensors, getting the recommendations from them, and making use of them, right? I mean, it shows how much effort Nilkant and the organization has put in order to make that actually possible, right? So, real kudos to you for enabling these communities.
And to add to
I
your
also
point,
think, sorry, also, Nilkant, what will be good is to really track the livelihood impact that you are having, that Jal Jeevika is doing. I think that's it's an important metric. My recommendation is both from a horizontal, which is to say, at the bottom of the pyramid, but also from a gender perspective, right? I'd love to understand, from where you started, how many in total how many people have benefited, how many farmers have benefited. More importantly, how many women have benefited by this. That's a very, very important UN SDG that we're working with, working towards. So I'd love to track that, and this is a suggestion for all founders out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. So Latika, just as a quick thing, like when we started physically interaction with the women some 8 years ago, Gondia Gadchiroli, which is a tribal portion, where the first few batches, we were first year only with the 70 women. So that was the, metrics. But within 4 years, this number become like 4,000 plus. So since the moment KC sir will also will address this point, the moment the community see start the benefit, our presence becomes very much negligible. It becomes the auto mode, the people will start functioning. And 10 days ago, we had an inauguration of first Aqua School where the entire training setup, this IoT things, this was inaugurated, it was presented to the community. In that event, there was 400 women who had joined it. And means the way the data is now collected. So in last 15 days, record is there, more than 650, PHDO, all those data points was captured by 15 women. And lot more women are now coming forward to be part of this process, not only in the block where we are working, but from the different district, like women group from Chandrapur, Wardha, they all started visiting. It will take maybe the next financial year, but yeah, the scale looks like it's going to expand very soon. And if we become part of any government program, we have not started working in that direction, but if there is any government collaboration, then the things will be much easier, much faster.
Yeah. So maybe can I also add something to what Latika was saying? In our own work in technology and empowerment, right? The two factors that are good to measure are, one is use and the other one is value. Use is
Mm.
actually how many people are using the technology, but real value is actually, how much is their income increasing?
Mm.
What real benefit do they get from it, right? Like Latika, I think, tracking that would be such a useful thing to do. And not only to sort of understand, the real value we are providing, but also where the gaps are so that we can address them. That'd be wonderful.
Right. And we also have a question, Neelkant, for you. How from Savankar in the audience, he's asking, how are you thinking about using RFID tagging for traceability?
Traceability. So
Yeah.
traceability is in our plan, but in the future, once the product start coming, at this moment we are tracking more like whatever were the farmers' historical input expenditure. What's the reduction in that because of the role of the technology, and what's the survival of the fish? What were historically how that survival is increased. Because during the last year POC time we had done a paper which is now coming in collaboration with Accenture and Microsoft. We have seen like during our proof of concept pilot, there is a 30% reduction in the input cost, the feed cost, which is the highest for the highest cost in the fish industry. So that cost was reduced, and the production was improvised because we are using now everything calculation wise input advisory is going to farmer. So obviously the survival rate has increased. That has increased more than 25%. But all those numbers will be verified this year when they are at like 500 numbers from 3 pond to 500. So we are tracking that part. But once this production will start coming from the pond, then this traceability will be coming. And something was our reservation, like we now wanted to learn. It's all related to data traceability, then how the consumers are getting the authentic uh, process and product related information. It's all data, but where is the communities, convergence as a data stewardship? Can we start working with the community as their community based the data cooperative? So all those points are really not very clear to us. So at this moment, going for those traceability, then further thinking of blockchain, it looks like a very distant stream. First, we want to, build our capacity, whatever we are doing right now, for next 1,000 days as a target.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you, Neelkant. Casey, over to you and the wonderful work that Ecotair is doing.
Thanks, Simran. Good morning to everybody. I'll just share my screen. In fact, it makes my communication a little better as I'll address to some of the suggestions and input from Microsoft team, especially on the impact transparency and the adoptions for impact. So I'll just share my screen. I'm the founder of Ecotair. It's a social business outfit. And in fact, from the day one in 2009, we have been working with small farmer in the space of agriculture by using technology. 2009, when it was it's the beginning of Agtech, where the IT infrastructure was not not developed to the extent of mass adoptions, and internet penetration was just happening. Content was not democratized or universal.
I think we've lost Casey. Casey, can you hear us?
I think his connection, he lost his
Might be
connection.
poor.
Yeah.
Right. While we wait for Casey to get back, maybe we should, Ganesh, are you ready to go? We could probably go with you and then come back to Casey.
I think he's back.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
Sorry, there's some. Can you please see my screen?
You're
Yes,
back
he's
and
back.
we can see you now. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I'll start. I'm the founder of Ecotair, a social business outfit. We have been working in the space of agriculture, and from the day one, our focus was how to integrate information technology in the agriculture sector, especially how to address to the problem of agriculture sector, where lot of small and marginal farmers are there who have been working in a complex space which is totally knowledge driven, and how to create an impact in that space. Whilst we started in 2009 with a lot of challenges, hardware challenges, connectivity challenges, with the developer challenges, with both the domain expert, not the encouraging IT, nor IT expert, and try to develop something by understanding this domain. We started with these challenges in 2009, and within a year or two, we could sense that there is a good opportunity to create the impact on a sustainable way. So that journey started from 2009 till today. All our effort, we have got a very strong R&D team with in our organization. We come out with different type of the product and services in tune with the time. When we started, hardly any agtech companies were there. Then where we are right now, plenty of agtech companies are there. Earlier, we are struggling with the farmer to adopt the different type of application. Right now, farmers have been offered different type of application by different agencies, from no competitor to high competitive stage. This is the journey of last almost 11, 12 years. And all our journey, we have adapted ourselves very smartly with the technology, with the different products and services, to the starting with farmer to the entrepreneur to different ecosystem stakeholder. And by using the data and different type of algorithm which we started creating and we have started developing on our own. And this has been captured by different research organizations, and uh, the and supported by different organizations like IFC, then by Facebook, by Intel, by right now by Microsoft, and that type of support has really helped us in our journey till date. What we are providing, after a long journey and understanding of this terrain, we reached a conclusion that what is one thing we are providing to small farmers or the people in the rural areas, which makes us different from other technology players. If you see, other technology players have developed different applications, have been using data, algorithm, AI, whatever the modern innovations are there in the IT sector, to how to do a better business with the people in the bottom of the pyramid, but not how to enable the people at the bottom of the pyramid to do better business in the market. So that exactly, if technology, I agree with Latika and the other colleague, that what is the impact? All we have been providing the different type of solution to the farmer. The impact is a convergence of 11 critical points at the farming level. If somebody is telling, okay, I'm providing seed recommendation, that is creating impact. That is one of the 11. What about other? So, but at the end of the day, farmer as a user don't want to see what advisory he is getting. At the end of the season, he would like to see what is the return on investment, what he is doing. And this return on investment has got certain barriers. How to break that barriers by using data and technology, that we have cracked. Lot of information are there, lot of data sets are there. Different custodians are there, starting from government to private sector to the community to the individual farmer level. How to converge it, make it lean data structure, and come out with a what I call essential data relationship management system, which will make it lean, effective, precise, and create impact in the last mile. So with this journey is last 11 years. We started with a simple application of fertilizer management with seed selection, with scoring. You might have seen in the agriculture ecosystem, starting from government to private sector to finance to everybody, they're talking about that farming is risk, farmer is risk. It's an area we don't understand. But what is that risk? What constitutes risk? What are the data sets which will determine the risk profile of the farmer, his crop, and ultimately the farmer-centric ecosystem? We started developing automated scoring based on data, automated planning, automated seed recommendation, fertilizer recommendation, protect different pest and disease management with marketplace access, both input and output, and how to use the power of IT to provide a seamless networking structure, and how to use the power of IT to simplify the complexities of the operation, how to use the power of IT to bring transparency to the whole ecosystem. That everything we started developing by using data and different stakeholders, and we have come out with a solution, because at the end of the day, our purpose is not to design. Our purpose is to design, to adapt, to create impact. Design is, okay, it's 50% of the problem. Rest 50% of the problem is adoptions and track the impact. Then we started working on a model how to ensure a better adoption. There are adoption challenges are there, where even Microsoft Research during our journey have helped in Earn to Learn program. That also we integrated in our learning module. And also how to measure the impact. Now, when everybody has built up a bridge, and lot of organizations have built up 3/4 of the bridge, but 1/4 of the bridge in the last mile, which is critical, lot of the organizations are not working in that space. As everybody would like to see what is the impact. Impact transparency has to come, whatever we have been doing. If we are earning money, balance sheet is the reflection of our commercial achievement. But when we are creating impact, what impact balance sheet we are creating on a transparent way? There we have started working, and we have been working right now, and that's a unique unique offering which we are doing. It is the portfolio management of small farmers, where we are managing the portfolio of the small farmers, including his land, crop, finance, risk, and at the end of the day, what is the return on investment is getting, and that is the benchmark. That is from where we can compare whether what is its return on investment, whether it has created impact, or somebody's product has created impact, somebody's innovation has created impact or not. That we have started. We have designed it, perfected it, and started giving to different stakeholders who wants to create impact, be it government, be it private sector, be it civil society, be it the funding organization. If you want to see the return on investment, return on impact of 1 rupee or $1 you are investing, use our technology in the last mile, 1/4, where it will give all the transparency, where each stakeholder wants it. But there also is a challenge, whether all stakeholder wants transparency. It's no. Some are interested, large sections of the stakeholder, they do not want. How to come out, how to create such a transparent ecosystem where at least impact transparency should come. Failure is not a very negative motivation for creating impact, but failure, success, everything, a mix up achievement dashboard can be created. That is our offering right now, and that is the effort which are doing. And that behind that effort, the last 2 years of engagement with Microsoft, because technological challenges are coming. We don't have the bandwidth to crack it. They started coming in, and they started solving one by one, and it gave us a strength. Yes, this is possible. Now the technological enablement is there. This is possible. With this, we have come to a stage. Now we are doing another research, what we call it ESG coin, environmental social governance impact coin, which can be generated out of our database, which can be taken by different stakeholders who are socially conscious, or those who want to create an impact, starting from individual to the organization. They can be the owner of this data set, which we are going to generate. Coming to the one of the good suggestions by Nilkant is how we can address to the problem of community ownership of data. Yes, that's a problem. That's a deterrent factor at the last mile. What we have done is we are creating a community-owned grid system, starting from India across the globe, where community will own the data, community will be enabled. That is why even if Pharmex is our initiative, we are going with a white labeling marketing approach, where we give to the community. You brand it in your community's brand, but we provide all the technological support to them, so that the trust will be there, adoption will be better, and the impact and sustainability can come much faster. So this community ownership, what you call as the block accelerator program, where we are enabling the community and with the white labeling of our application, because at the back end, to a large extent, we have created the flow, and we have got the best lean data set for the agriculture sector right now. We have filtered a good number of data sets from different sources, and we have also taken out the data set which are less relevant, which is not required at all, and we have only gone with evidence-based, high powerful, essential data relationship management system for the agriculture sector. And in the 8 months, in fact, after doing a lot of research, pilot, with the different funding and different awards, innovation awards. We started operating from this year. Within 8 months, we have reached 5 countries, 110 agents. We are managing 22,000 farmers portfolio, integrated in 7 value chain, crop value chain, and we have got 6 million data points for farmer for the portfolio management in different buckets. And our plan is with Microsoft, because that whatever was my vision, the strength has come from Microsoft. Let me candidly acknowledge that. Because Simran can recollect, I used to ask whether this is possible. They told that, yeah, it's there, it is possible, it is doable. Even if it is not doable, you can do it. That gave a strength in my evolutionary journey, in my innovation journey, where we started with a pilot with very few competitors. Now we are with plenty of architect players, but with a USP, always retaining our USP that we are different from others. And thanks to Microsoft for that. 2022, because right now, as in today, our strength is that we have captured the right data set by working for last 11 years, 12 years in the field, analyzing different data set. And we would like to have a democratized farmer insight exchange for the agricultural communities. And working with everybody, with the government API, private sector API, we can give all API and make it really democratized so that the data can touch the lives of millions of people across the globe. That is one thing. Second is IT and data system has also opened up a secondary income for farmers. When anybody monetize data, how that some portion of that monetization should reach the farmer. That is why in our model, farmer is the owner of the data. And we have got a system, we have developed a system where farmer, if he says yes, the data can be monetized. And whenever it is monetized, that he will come to know and money can be transferred. We are developing that type of platform right now. Even we will discuss with the Microsoft research team and Microsoft team how to make it really democratic, participatory, so that the transparency and the transparency and impact scoreboard will come in a better way. And more so, right now when the government of India has given the approval for an impact exchange, social impact exchange, where the access to finance, access to the quantum of finance will be determined on the basis of how much of impact it is creating. So technology is a must to bring that transparency. And as a partner, we are in the right track. And let's make an endeavor to make it a big game with big impact across the globe. And Azure has been supporting all our technological work. At least to that extent, we are relieved, so that we will focus on our core work. And we have got a system of adoptions. We have come out with a process innovations of how it can be adopted and how it can be scaled. Our target is 2 million farmers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you, Casey.
That was wonderful. It's always great to see the work that you're doing on the ground. Sriram, over to you if you have any questions for Casey.
So, Casey, I'll have a really quick question for you. You mentioned that you interacted with our team with Learn to Earn, which is a very IVR-based system to help do knowledge transfer and make sure that actually people actually learn. And we even pay them small amounts of money when they demonstrate that they can learn. How was your experience with Learn to Earn?
No, it's good, but it needs further improvement as well. Make it more simpler. But the idea is good. I like the idea. If somebody is learning, what is the benefit is getting? More so, a farmer, why he should come to a classroom to attend? What is getting out of it? And for why we took Learn to Earn is there is an open innovation competition in the world where we are shortlisted. I had given a algorithm-based customized training program for the farmer. There, in fact, we got selected. When we got selected, then I shared with Simran, then we thought that why can't we integrate it as an offering? So we have got our own innovations. We have done it, we added it, but I like the concept, but it needs some streamlining and some technological, improvement to make it a better user experience.
Wonderful. Yeah, we would love to continue to collaborate with you on those aspects as well. So Simran, maybe since we are running short of time, we should switch over to Ganesh, you think?
Absolutely. Ganesh, over
Thank you
to
so much,
you.
Casey. Yeah.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you so much. I'd like to share my screen. Please let me know if you're able to see it. Uh, I should definitely say that I'm really inspired by the two speakers, both Mishra Ji's, and it's rather empowering for me to give this presentation further with after hearing them. Okay, let me start with the story of my own life. When I was very early, that is in my primary school, we used to get we had a well at home. We didn't. There was no water connection yet in this locality, so we used to get water from the well. And by the time I went to middle school, we got water tap connection at home. We could get that in this locality. I mean that locality where I stay, you got the water tap connection, and we used to get water. And if there is no water from the tap, you'll always have well as the source. Slowly, the water drained out of the well. So because of which my father actually got a tank at home in the upstairs. This one room, we got a tank at home. So if there's a shortage of water, if the water is not coming from the tank, we'll have from the tank. By the time I went to rather college, we also got a sump at home because there was not enough pressure to pump the water to the tank from the BWFC tank. So we got a sump at home so that water could be stored there. And by the time I went to do my master's at the Institute of Science, my father got one more tank at home because the water was not coming on a regular basis. So we had to store more water and in the sump. So we even get water from tankers today. So this is the story of my life. I've seen water at different levels. I think my son would also see water on capsules. Right. So it's very disheartening. It's depressing as a countryman. But I ended up doing engineering, and I realized we should apply science and technology to this. So the thesis that we came up with Fluxgen is that water as a liquid is transparent and clear. What if you make the data of water transparent and clear? Can you solve the problem of water? Perhaps I believe we can solve most of the problem, if not all, because once you have data of water, you can build solution on top of that and maybe ensure that as of today we have 40% of water unaccounted in our country, or more so from the groundwater. All this can be solved, right? With that, I mean, as a startup, you can't solve the whole problem of water, right? I mean, water is the largest quantity in the world. So what is that we focused on? See, one of the large guzzlers of water in a city, I'm talking about a city, is industry. And industries are the one who actually even contaminate most of the water, right? So how do you look into that problem? So when you look at it from the industry's point of view, the water mismanagement can actually lead to massive risk today. Let me talk about it. I'll be very quick today. One is the cost of water is increasing. I mean, it has already increased by 10x in last 10 years. And another thing is the cost of pumping, purification, recycling, and various other costs which are embedded energy into this water is sometimes 10x to 100x. In paper and pulp industry, it is almost 100x the cost of water. So that is one is the cost of water is increasing. Then is another thing is when there's no water, then the cost is of business continuity level, right? I mean, business continuity can get affected. The next is strict compliance because India's GDP is getting affected by up to 6% because of water scarcity. The enforcement has actually become very strong, and because of which groundwater extraction through CGWA or Pollution Control Board are more empowered. And today, industries have to pay heavy penalty if they're not managing their water better, right? And even disclosure is very important for water, and conservation of water every 20% has to be done every 2 years if you're groundwater extraction. So compliance has become very strong. And another big thing is water is a finite shared resource. It's environmental, it is social, and it is a governance issue. It is ESG complete. So if you are consuming some glass of water, is coming at the cost of somebody else not getting it. So because of which the water management is even important. And today all water has to be disclosed. If I'm buying a pack of sugar in the future, I'll know how much water was required to make that. So it might lead to brand reputational risk for industries. So if industries are not are in big risk, India's employment is at risk, right? So now let's see what and there's one big risk that I've not even covered. That's climate. It said if climate change is shark, water is its teeth, right? And I mean climate change changes the evapotranspiration of and that leads changes the rainwater and all those things. And in this duration, in this condition, our country and many other countries are using prehistoric ways of managing water. While the availability of water has changed, the world has become warmer, we are still using prehistoric ways of managing. It is very human intensive and there's no consumption tracking. There's a lot of wastage happening. And this has led to what I came to know, talk about the transparency and clarity. That's where we come, right? We have end-to-end digital water management platform. What we have to do is we monitor water flow, water level, water pressure, energy consumed by water infrastructure because there's embedded energy associated to it, and there is water quality also. All this data comes from sensors. We don't make manufacturer sensors. We work with sensor manufacturer, and we become a marketplace for all the sensor manufacturer. And in that way, we enable Make in India. All the sensors made in India and other sensors we enable, and through our IoT hardware. Which is actually going to collect this data, which is going to send to Azure cloud. We are going to identify leakage, wastage, excessive usage, and all the ESG associated risk for industries through our platform. And this way, we de-risk industries from water crisis, commercial and industrial. And we also see that our platform has helped reduce water consumption up to 30%. I mean, using aids to reducing water consumption. And we have developed this patented we have a device that would actually also in associate. Now we are working with Microsoft research as well. Dependable, I'll talk about it in a bit. And a SaaS platform which can actually be scaled across the world. While it was developed for India, now it's applicable for the world because the water crisis have similar repercussion in other part of the world. It's AI-based reports and analytics which are required for compliance. I mean, in order to ensure that what is required for pollution control board or groundwater resource, we have been able to generate. And we also work with a lot of in a quarterly consulting approach. Though it is a high touch process today, but we are help our customers solve their water problem and also accelerating our AI through this high touch process while we talk to our customers in doing the data pattern analysis. Of course, we have quite a lot of customers. I'll skip this slide, and we are very fortunate these customers have utilized our product. Let me talk about one customer today. That is G. Kuppuswamy Naidu Hospital in Coimbatore, which is one of the oldest hospital. Even Mysore Maharajas used to get treated there. So this hospital is in a water stressed area, and they were buying water at a pretty high price, and they also were running out of water. Hospital running out of water, what would happen to the patients, right? So what we did, they were water consumption was increasing, and their borewells were running out. So, and being a very responsible hospital, they were also treating water. There's no effluents were sent to the environment, so they were not contaminated. As they say, hospitals are here to heal, not to harm the environment. In this, to stay to that vision, what they came to us saying that we want to reduce water consumption and make sure that we can be more and more responsible and ensure that we solve this problem of water for the hospital. We digitize their entire water infrastructure, water flow, water well, water pressure. We using the platform, we identified leakage, wastage, excessive usage. They were consuming for almost like 500,000. We have brought it to 400. Now it's almost going to 300,000 liters of water. Almost now it is coming to. We have through our platform itself, they were able to reduce up to 20%. And today they are able to achieve their per bed water consumption benchmark better than any hospital in the world, right? I mean, that's one of the achievements. And because of this hospital won the CIA National Water Award in Excellence in Water Management within the fence. This is like the Oscars in water management. We are fortunate they actually used, and we also learned a lot from that hospital. Now we are expanding it to many other hospitals. Let me, I shouldn't miss talking about how we've been massively benefiting from Microsoft. One is you're seeing the picture here, Tanmay from Microsoft Research. Not only was helping from using Microsoft Teams, he was so enthusiastic. He came to our facility and started connecting all this sensor to the dependability stack. And now he's given so much this one that all our new hardware would have dependable IoT stack in it. Like we are putting that ADC that is required for it. And I'm very excited about, you might ask why dependable IoT. As a company, as we scale, we want to ensure our customers get reliable, high fidelity data. And through that, we are ensuring our customers are not getting any data that would be in a doubt whether this is. So that's somewhere we are getting. And our entire tech stack, as you could see the logos, where we've been using Microsoft Azure, and we have been able to develop that. As KC Mishra ji said, we have also focused on our solutions, solving the problem to our customers, and we're using most of the PaaS, I mean the entire Azure stack to make sure that our customer get the full value out of it. And AI is something that is the core of our solution. I mean, we want to give prescriptive alerts to our customers. A lot of this comes through AI. And again, we understand what AI to be given and whether it's a federated learning or this one, but you're using a lot of the stack developed in Azure to ensure these facilities are developed. So I should definitely say that while I saw the problem of my father upgrading water infrastructure house, I should also tell that a city which used to be called the Garden City and City of Lakes, we are probably able to save almost like the water of almost 3 to 4 lakes of water through our platform as I talk to you. So this also gives me a satisfaction, though I've seen water lakes disappearing in our city, but some way using technology, we've been able to bring back water, if not the lakes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Ganesh. It's such an inspiring presentation. I have an immediate question for you, which is that you mentioned the engagement with the hospital in Tamil Nadu and how they've benefited and so on. Can you give me a sense for, uh, uh, is your platform at a stage where you have to do individual engagements, or are you at a stage where many such organizations can use your platform without much intervention from you? Where are you in that journey from working with individual people to scaling to a large number of people who can save water using your work?
Sir, we have developed the stack that we actually license to various channel partners, and they actually integrate. In some places, we don't even know who has sold our platform where. And of course, we supply our IoT hardware, and of course, our solution is compatible with other IoT hardware. Of course, once we make sure that we integrate the dependable IoT completely onto our hardware, probably we'll license to anybody who can develop this. Today, to answer to your question, yes, a lot of other channels are already started using our platform and enabling services.
Okay, that's very nice. Thank you. Maybe we can get some questions from the audience, Simran. If people want to have questions for Ganesh, they can ask.
I just missed one component. Should I say that if you don't mind?
Yeah, please go ahead while we wait for questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I should say Fluxgen started with solving the problem of rural, and I think we failed. And that's why my respect to Mishra ji, both the Mishra is at a light year side of what I am doing. I really respect both of them. But on the other hand, we still wanted to solve some way on the rural part. Today, we've actually been engaged on a rural set of people in Mysore, outside Mysore outskirts, where more than 50 SC/ST women are actually been empowered to solve our IoT hardware. I mean, they are developing, manufacturing and repair of our IoT hardware is happening through that. So that's a very tiny contribution to what we can do to rural people. But I believe in the long run, we want to make everything make in, not just make in India, make in rural India.
That's wonderful, Ganesh, to see you supporting both the environment as well as local economies and really promoting the ecosystem through and through. I'd like to open up the floor to questions for the audience.
There's a question
Go
from
ahead,
Vikram here.
Oh.
Vikram says, are you targeting only commercial applications, or are there individual households that can use this? And he says in the US there are expensive solutions like Moinflow, Flume, etc. But I assume the water wastage from individual houses is fairly significant.
So we consciously chose to work with industries. I should also tell it has happened because our first customer was Titan Jewelry Division, and we learned most of it by when we solved the problem of Titan Jewelry Division, and we realized the problem. There are multiple aspects of industries because industries buy water at a very high price, and the compliance for them is very high. And industries in many places consume more than in some industrialized cities they consume more than 40 to 50% of water. And industries also you can automate and reduce water consumption. And I don't know, my 2-year-old son would still waste water. I try to do it on a behavioral level to inculcate habits of reducing water consumption. So we thought we could solve the problem of industry right now. And there are many amazing guys like VGOT and others who are doing really good in the residential space. So we thought we should rather solve the problem of water as a whole as all water entrepreneurs than actually collide at each other and work as together.
Okay, wonderful. So Simran, maybe we should wrap up. Maybe I can make one
Sure.
more closing remark, right? I mean, what I find
Absolutely.
heartening is that, see, every one of these, right? If you take the question of dependable IoT, right? I mean, IoT platforms are already there, but we really need to make sure that the sensors, we trust the sensors, right? And then the data that comes from the sensors has to be dependable. If it's not dependable, we run the risk of actually using all this technology to give incorrect guidance, right? Similarly, right, what we are doing with Learn to Earn with Mishra ji, right? Of course, like e-learning platforms are all there, but to actually making them accessible to this target population in rural India with their language issues and literacy issues, right? So in that sense, actually, I feel really fortunate that as part of Microsoft Research, right, we get to interact and work with founders like you to actually get to that last mile and solve these real problems where there's technological gaps are still there, so that the technology doesn't is not just shining object, but really provides benefits to people. So in that sense, I'm very grateful. Thank you all for partnering with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shriram. Thank you, Ganesh,
Thank
Neelkant,
you.
Casey. It's been an honor and really massive respect for the work you do. But also, I think everyone's gotten a lot of inspiration from the work you do. And, we're just happy to help amplify in whatever way we can and further these efforts to really make that impact. So thank you
And
for being part
yeah,
of Project
Thank you.
Amplify
yeah,
and
Sivan, as a
part of the
last thing,
discussion.
Ganesh, we must
Sure.
talk each other. Maybe there is a synergy. We both
Yes, sir.
discuss and
Absolutely, sir.
become a collaboration. Yeah.
I'll
Thank you.
write to you. I am very inspired by both your work, and I'll definitely write to you, Neelkant Mishraji.
Bye, Ganesh.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye
everyone,
bye.
for your time. And thank you, audience, for attendance.